live on YouTube, Paul.
Damn. Okay. We're going to have to do this again. First things first, my peoples come first. Thanks for tuning in. Live TV. Sometimes you're going to have things that don't go off cleanly, but we are here live, and it's episode 3 of Home and Away. I'm the away fan. Rob is the home fan. If you're tuning in for the first time, hit that follow button, subscribe, check out some of the past shows. This is episode 3. The reason why this is so special is because I get to get a perspective. I get to hear from Rob, homegrown, living the life that many of us international fans want. Rob's the guy that I'm able to lean on and get some great information from. And this is an epic week to have this show because so much has went down. I'm going to start off. Look at the comments here on the screen. See what we're going to go through. You can follow along. If you're live on Twitch, hit that subscribe button. Same thing, follow along. I'll be checking comments on both platforms. But I'm just going to start. I don't want to waste any time. I want to get as much information out of Rob as possible. And let me introduce you. How you doing, Rob? How you doing today?
Good evening, my friend. You're always so kind to me and flattering. I just hope I don't disappoint.
Oh, never that. You deserve it. You deserve it. And I'm going to say this. All I ask for is for you to just share what's on your mind, man, because it's valuable. It's valuable to me. Trust me. Valuable to the viewers that are tuned in, and thank you for the support. Let's tackle. Before I throw this to you, let me paint the picture a little bit. EPL Final Sunday is one of the best moments in sport, from my perspective. I don't know if you agree, but I'm gonna ask you shortly. All the matches happen at the same time, same day. Unlike other leagues that may have Friday matches, Saturday matches, and Sunday matches, in the EPL, all the matches are happening same time. And for me, out here in Toronto, it's a morning event, right? It's me waking up, having breakfast, having a nice breakfast, and then tuning in and watching the game. I know it's different for you out there. I want to ask, what was EPL Final Sunday for you as you started your day? How was it?
Breakfast at Weatherspoons, 8:00 in the morning.
Okay. And that's typical, right?
That's my match day routine. Yeah.
Okay. And any was it eventful in terms of the morning breakfast? Were people was the server a little more lively? What was the energy like?
No. Nothing out of the ordinary. I wouldn't want it to be out of the ordinary either. I wish I had some anecdotes or stories for you, but there really aren't. Other than I can't get served alcohol until 9:00 in the morning.
Okay.
And if anyone knows me or anyone's ever cared to listen to me, success is antipodal to my very nature as a human being. So I have to get drunk to enjoy the success.
Hold on. You're chemically dependent to be able to enjoy success?
When it comes to Manchester City, so the success in my personal life, nope, don't need alcohol. Success
Right.
in relationships, don't need alcohol. Success in any of my personal sporting achievements or business achievements or life achievements, no.
Okay.
Manchester City, it's hardwired and ingrained in me to reject the very notion of success. So I need alcohol to sort of bridge that gap.
Okay. No, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. Oh, where to go? Okay. So you got your breakfast. I have my, I guess it would be brunch as well. So we're similar in that way. Home fan, away fan, we're similar. Now, I don't have to travel anywhere. I'm enjoying breakfast in my house, watching the game in my house. After you've had breakfast, what then? Where are you heading to next?
I have breakfast in Manchester, in the heart of the city, in a place called Weatherspoons. Now, Weatherspoons is kind of like an Applebee's or a Tim Hortons or a Outback Steakhouse or whatever. It's just a generic restaurant. That's what it is. But it's a generic restaurant that serves alcohol, lots of cheap alcohol. And it's kind of like, see, It's on one side. Now, the Etihad is in Eastlands, Manchester. And to get to the Etihad, you need to get either the tram, walk, or get a bus, the 216 bus, which is my routine. The 216 bus is my routine from Piccadilly Gardens in Manchester.
Okay.
And the Wetherspoons that I go to is about a quarter of a mile from the bus stop. So I go there, meet my friends, we all have breakfast. Then at 9 o'clock in the morning, they start serving alcohol, and then that's when we start drinking.
Okay.
So kickoff's not until 4 p.m.
Yeah.
We start at 9 o'clock.
I love it. And again, gets the singing vocal cords ready. You're gonna be nice. Yeah, exactly. So you're good to go. Is there anything particular that you make sure to drink?
Long Island iced tea.
All right, viewers. All right. So, pre-game ritual, breakfast. You're in the heart of the city. You're making your way to the game. Is there anything ritual-wise or typical Sunday-wise that you do as you get to the stadium now? Do you meet up with friends before you even go in? Is there a steward that you make a point to salute? Is there anything like that you do before going into the stadium?
So there's a pub not far. Well, there's a couple of pubs not far from the Etihad. So you get the 216 bus. You get off outside the Mercedes-Benz garage, which is pretty much on the Etihad campus, and across the road near the next entire bridge is a pub called Mary D's Bar. Now, Mary D's Bar it's a dive.
Okay.
It's a dive bar, but it's where some City fans congregate before games, and they have a DJ who plays City songs. You drink pints of lager, which tastes like piss, and it's just a good place to get merry, have a sing song, and get with a wider community of City fans to sing drunken songs badly.
Okay.
I'd say that's the general rule for maybe 2,000 City fans, maybe 1,000 City fans go in Mary D's Bar, have a couple of pints, and then make the last minute dash to get inside the Etihad. So in recent years, it's got a lot worse with the security outside the stadium. But you used to be able to just walk up to the gate, go in, there you are, no problem. Now you need to actually get to the stadium itself, minimum of 45 minutes before the game kicks off.
Right.
You've got to go through the security process. Sometimes you get wanded, sometimes you get pat down, and you've got to join the queue of people.
Exactly. Got it. So now, as a result, you have to actually bulk in some time to actually account for that process to get to your seat. Cool. Now, because you're giving yourself 45 minutes to actually between getting there to actually getting to your seat, is there any conversation with other fans about your opponent, or about the possible starting 11, or about injuries? Is any of that type of conversation happening?
We're usually talking about why we're the most successful team in the world, but we've got such shit players.
Okay, all right.
So we're usually bantering our own players. They're talking about Aston Villa barely even, like that was the opponent on Sunday. Talking about them barely comes into the conversation. We'll make the odd comment like Steven Gerrard slips on his ass. We won the title in 2014. Coutinho cost Barcelona 200 million and he's been a flop, blah, blah, blah. That might be like a little bit of the conversation, but most of the conversation revolves around, Rodri's crap, Cancelo's crap. How can we be champions of England, or how can we be prospective champions of England when our players are so bad? Fernandinho's 300 years old. How is he ever going to play a game at centre half for 90 minutes? That sort of stuff. Self-deprecating stuff, not congratulatory stuff, not celebration stuff, but look how terrible we are, even though we're champion stuff. Very contradictory and very self-deprecating.
Right. And is there also like the same thing happening with regards to the manager? Like, how are we in this position? What's Pep going to do? Who's he going to start? Any of that type of conversations happening?
Yeah, we talk about how Pep's going to mess it up. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But you've got to remember, it's not serious. It's
No,
not
I
serious.
know. It's tongue in cheek with how the conversation's going. I get that. Now, does it get, when you do know the starting 11? Does it? Is there a serious conversation that kind of happens when you finally see who Pep's going to put on the field to close out final EPL Final Sunday? Is there a conversation, or you don't have an external conversation, but you have an internal one with yourself? Are you wondering about this 11? Do you have some questions?
So we have a conversation. So, like I said, by this time, let's say it's an hour and 20 minutes before kickoff. For that 20 minutes, because the squad is the match day team is released an hour before kickoff. Sometimes a little bit earlier if it gets leaked, or I think depending on competitions, right? I think some competitions it gets an hour and a half.
An hour and a half, yeah.
So for the last 15 minutes before that hour, people are refreshing their phones, checking Twitter, checking BBC or checking Sky or whatever for the lineup. Then, depending on the lineup, there's either a collective or there's a collective groan. Oh, not him, or not him again. Swearing and blah blah blah. But yeah, I mean, like, so for example, one of the players that used to elicit the worst response was a guy called Alexander Kolarov. He left us a couple of years ago because he was useless, absolutely useless. Couldn't defend, couldn't attack. His claim to Alexander Kolarov's claim to fame was the fact that he knocked out a referee with a free kick. That's it.
Beautiful free kick. He had a nice left foot. Now that's the home perspective, viewers. Let me bring it back and talk about the away. So for myself, like I mentioned, I'm making breakfast. It's too early for me to actually have a drink. But I'm on my phone, same thing. I'm refreshing the app that I use. The lineup's not coming out until an hour before. The lineup comes out. I'm instantly trying to figure out, okay, here's the potential strategy that Pep's going to be doing. I'm doing this internally with myself. And then it leads to exchange text message with a friend, then into a group chat and seeing what some of the other guys are saying. And then it actually led to jumping on a very brief stream with True City Fan. And I'm not going to classify it as a meltdown, but there was a lot of, why is Pep doing this? Why do we have Mahrez inverted winger? Fernandinho, he's starting. Is he center back? Is he right back? And there's a lot of questions around that. And I'm surprised as well to know that Walker's healthy, Ake's healthy, Zinchenko's healthy. So there's that going off. That's just the start. That's not even before the game started, right? But that is kind of how it's been typically as of late with some of the friends that I've met online and how the experience is. Prior to that, it used to be my very close friend, former neighbor, and oddly enough, yes, there's supposedly not many City fans, but he's a Torontonian as well. Happened to be a City fan. We happened to move next to each other, grew into a friendship, and our ritual every game, he says, "Come on, City." I say, "Let's go, City." And I said City because that's how I type it. And we do that before every match. That's the away fan perspective. Let me get to these comments real quick. I kind of lost my place.
I've already been slandered in the comments, by the way. So I'd love to address some of those earlier comments.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I think I'll get to them too. Neil, still not over Sunday. We're going to get into it. And I'm going to do my best on time. I want to respect Rob. I know he's got some deadlines. Telegram usually has the lineup first, in my opinion. Okay. Kolarov. he did have some nice free kicks. I'm gonna give him that. I'll be the first to admit I was pooing the bed at that lineup. I know it did cause some stress. And Edison, another fan, thanks for tuning in. Question for you, Man City fans: you feel more confident for next season since Origi left Liverpool? That I will discuss at another time, not right now. You got slagged off in the comments. Who hit you? Where is that?
Chris Baker. Well, Edison asked if I was Scottish, and yes, I am Scottish. Chris Baker. I think Chris Baker called me a buffoon, so that was lovely.
Oh, he mentioned battery acid Ronnie.
Yeah, battery acid. So he basically cheap liquor.
Yeah, that just burns your
And
throat.
I got accused of drinking MD 2020 and Buckfast, and I don't drink MD 2020 or Buckfast.
Oh, that's crazy.
Buckfast is a very cheap fermented wine that my people, Scottish people, drink. So,
all right. So I gave you the home and away perspective with regards to pregame now. Okay.
There is one more contribution. Sorry to interrupt you. There is one more contribution. The second you get through the turnstile, in my section of the South Stand, and I police this personally, mobile phones are put on silent and put on inside pockets.
Oh, really? So with regards to your section, fans are putting their phone on silent and actually putting it away. Wow. As soon as you're in the stadium, not even announcements are finalized, coin flip or anything like that. As soon as you get in, you're policing that yourself. I respect that. You do want fans more involved in terms of what's happening on the field versus being engrossed in their phone, because they're going to miss moments and the players feed off of.
Listen, I welcome anybody from anywhere around the world to come and watch Manchester City and come and watch some incredible football. But while you're there, why don't you actually just watch the football? It's a simple request, I believe. It's not conducive to creating a good environment or for having a good time if you're stuck behind your phone screen. Turn it off, put it in your pocket. It's like, how many people have you seen at concerts? It's a once in a lifetime opportunity at a concert, and instead of enjoying the moment, they're filming it.
I know, but it's the me type generation that they believe if I didn't record it, it didn't happen. Unfortunately, I don't agree with it, but it's where things have gone. Yeah, I agree. If it's a sport, if it's just an experience, period, like enjoy it. The match itself is being recorded. We know that, right? Like the match is being recorded on TV, and I know it's not your eye viewpoint in terms of perspective, but often that's overrated, and it just clogging memory on people's phones, not to be relived again. I'm gonna get through these comments. Okay, so crazy fact. I'm working on my fact. I'm working on it. I agree. Too much of the new generation are on their phones and don't sing. Whenever I'm there, I sing my effing heart out and get looked at. No, that's the way to do it. I'm one of the loudest cheers. You think every player was a loved one of mine, the way I root for my team. So let's talk about this first half now. We've all seen the lineup. You see what Peps does. And just for a quick recap, I know I'm not saying anything new to you that have tuned in, but Pep decides to go Stones on the right, Fernandinho center back, Laporte center back, and Cancelo on the left. De Bruyne, Silva, Rodri, no surprises there. Mahrez, I would say a little bit of a surprise, but he's been clutch for us many times throughout this season. And then we got Foden and Jesus. I'm not really mad at it, but I am questioning the Fernandinho part. I am questioning a little bit of the Mahrez, but with an expectation that they might be bunkered down a little bit, we kind of get it. We're going to dominate possession, so it's not going to be too much of a risk. The first half kicks off, and Rob, can you tell me what was your feeling with how the first half played off before the first goal? How were you feeling with how the match started?
It was almost a carbon copy of the Wolves game, almost. Bernardo Silva was so deep, and he looked exhausted as well, to be honest. And Kevin De Bruyne also deep. But what I will say is, so last season our most successful defense was Kyle Walker, who is irreplaceable, John Stones, Ruben Diaz, and Alexander Zinchenko. That was our most successful back four. Obviously, that's been decimated in recent weeks. What Zinchenko has to do to get a place in the starting 11 is beyond me. We played with Cancelo, obviously, at left back, who hasn't had a forward contribution in 6 months. In the first half of the game, he was awful. He was running forward and smashing the ball at the first man. He was not making incisive passes, runs. He wasn't cutting inside. Nothing useful. It was terrible. Riyad Mahrez as well, a guy that I've been singing the praises of this season. So for some reason, returned ever since he failed to square the ball to Phil Foden for the tap-in against Real Madrid. He seems to have gone off the boil. And do you remember Riyad Mahrez of maybe 2-3 seasons ago where he was only scoring goals in games that we'd already won?
Yeah, he never scored the first goal. Yeah.
He turned into that again, and I hate to say this because he has been really good for most of the season. He was almost an empty shirt in the first half. John Stones at right back. Now, a lot of people have been critical of John Stones, but he played a game a long time ago for Everton at right back. He was brilliant. He also, when he plays for England, he plays as part of a back three with wing backs, and he does that role very, very well, very well. And he has played other games for City at right back, and he's been very competent. I just think that something had his number on Sunday. It didn't quite work for him, but so that's my evaluation up till the goal anyway. Up till the goal, I felt that players had gone missing in certain areas. Other players looked exhausted, and we were a little bit of 6s and 7s defensively compared to previous incarnations of that very successful defense.
Okay. I thought with regards to that first half before the goal, I felt like the players knew the importance of the match, and it kind of showed with a little bit with the movement, with the fluidity. I thought you could sense the tension, but there wasn't any doubt from a confidence standpoint that the players could actually perform and beat Villa in terms of how things started. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a disaster. This is rough. But it being the last match to decide the season was definitely clear. Now, what was your reaction? What was the home fans' reaction when the first goal did happen? And I believe it happened, was it the 27th minute, 37th minute of the game? Let me look. But what was your reaction after the first goal?
You're not going to like this, but my first reaction is everyone's going to blame Stones and Cancelo, but it was actually Rodri's fault.
37th minute. You're good. It was Rodri's fault.
Yep. Go back and watch it. The Aston Villa midfielder walked straight through our midfield, unchallenged. Rodri's lagging behind him 5 or 6 paces, doesn't even try and get in front of play or make a block or a challenge to stop that ball going into the right back area. He just casually, lackadaisically strolls. He does. Watch it.
Okay.
And I've got from my seat in the Etihad, I've got the perfect view of that happening from the south stand. He lackadaisically strolled, didn't even put a challenge in the midfield. The Aston Villa attacker just basically jogs half pace through the midfield, looks up, he's got 2 or 3 seconds, can ping a ball out to the right back area. It's actually ridiculous because, and like I say, it's ridiculous because everyone blames Stones and everyone blames Cancelo. But the first phase of play was completely on Rodri, and nobody has commented on it because everyone's focused on blaming Cancelo or Stones. But it is absolutely Rodri.
Okay. I will definitely go back and look at that. I will also, where I'm often critical in terms of associating blame, and I look at it kind of like dominoes, and we've all as kids set up the dominoes to have that cause and effect, that whole reaction thing, is obviously not every player is to be perfect while on the pitch. No, none of us would expect that. But if there is an error, if there is a misplay, if there is a slightly turned off moment, or I guess, lack of hustle moment. Yes, that one domino that fell started it, but then there's also other dominoes that do follow, and they are then not acquitted of having their own responsibilities. But I'm gonna look at it. I'm not gonna say you're wrong, but I will look at it and I will be critical of where it started and whether
Issue 2 and 3 doesn't happen without issue 1, and issue 1 is fundamentally the biggest issue because what has Pep Guardiola's guiding philosophy and principle been? If you lose the ball in that middle third of the pitch, do everything to get it back. That's been his guiding philosophy since he's been at the club. There was no challenge at all. So that is fundamentally, you can lose the ball in the final third of the pitch. You can lose the ball on the left-hand side of your area, the right-hand side of your area. A more competent right-back shows the player down the outside towards the line or a throw-in. It doesn't show him inside like John Stones does. A more competent left-back challenges the ball and gets in front of the attacker and pushes the ball away from goal. Stones and Cancelo didn't do that. But ultimately, Rodri offered no resistance in midfield, which is absolutely criminal. First phase. Yes, you're completely right with a domino analogy. One leads to another, leads to another. But fundamentally, number 2 could have changed the situation. Yes, number 3 could have changed the situation. But number 2 and 3 don't even have to happen if number 1 is if the guiding principles behind positional play in the centre of the park, if that's adhered to, it doesn't happen in the first place. And it truly was awful.
I hear that. And again, viewers, thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, hit the follow button. If you've been here before, thanks for the comments. Thanks for being involved. And we're going to continue the conversation. I'm not saying that I disagree with what Rob's saying. I will go back and look. I was just sharing another perspective in terms of how to look at it. And some of the comments on the board with regards to that first goal. So, first goal goes in. Obviously, we see who was the cause. We see how it played out. What was the feeling? Actually, let me tell you my feeling. I was like, damn it. That's exactly what I typed. That's exactly what I typed in terms of my group exchanges was damn it. And then stood up a lot taller in my chair, was looking for a response. I was looking for the players to put up a response. And I'll tell you this, defensively, I was nervous the entire time because, first half resulted in 1 goal, but there were other moments within that game where I was like, oh, we got lucky with that one. You know, they missed an opportunity to possibly go up 2-0 in that first half. What did you see in terms of response from the fans in stadium and as well as the players, Rob? I think if you're speaking, I don't hear you. Well, I think Rob might have had to step away. So from a response standpoint, I was doing my best to try to see how the players would have reacted. And I'm not saying that they weren't up for it. They definitely were. And to expect a quick goal response, not quite realistic, but how they actually defended as a team, knowing of the limitations in the defense standpoint, I was okay. And again, we had opportunities as well. Like the players had opportunities and just weren't crisp. And me, nervous fan, is thinking, are they not crisp? Are they not having the execution that's needed because of the nerves? Because it is the last game of the season. That was the kind of perspective I had when watching it. Let me go through these comments, and I was putting them on screen, not saying them out loud, out of respect of Rob as he was speaking. But I'm gonna do this here. Second goal, Rodri as well. We'll get to that second goal. Rodri missing a tackle. A lot of the comments are actually pointing out to Rodri and his performance with regards to his performance defensively. He didn't even jump for the header. It's fair. It's fair. I think, and again, I like to go back and watch the game 2, sometimes 3 times. As difficult as it was, Champions League semifinal, in Real Madrid. I've watched that game 3 times. That's how I got closure. If you tuned into any of my previous videos, I talk about it. I got closure by actually going back and seeing who did what or who didn't do what, right? Thank you for every comment. We were poor until that last 15. No thanks to Pep's team pick. It was that starting 11 definitely wasn't up for the performance that was needed. And the way, no disrespect, no disrect to Aston Villa, Steven Gerrard. He had them set up with a plan and an approach, right? Like we can see that first half, they were definitely targeting Fernandinho, right? They were going to make him have to make a decision how he was going to defend, whether he was going to press, whether he was going to fall back. They made him a focal point. And I was stressing. Viewers, if you look closely, you'll see grays coming into my beard now because of some of the matches this season. It's been such a stressful season, but for good reason. And I wouldn't take anything away from it. You're better for it. Let me put these comments on the screen here. John Stones at right back doesn't work. It's not ideal. I agree. It doesn't work, and that ain't his fault. It's Pep's responsibility for putting him there. 100%. The fact that Stones has stepped up, even with regards to Champions League, playing a right back. Let's not forget, Pep's also put Zinchenko at false 9. I believe it was it this year? I think it might have been this year against PSG, right? So Pep's done some crazy combinations. The mad scientist that he is, he's done some things that have kind of paid out. Rob's back in the mix. I was asking with regards to the response. So now in stadium, fan response, player response. Did you anything that kind of stood out to you, or do you remember anything that stood out after the first goal and how the players and the fans responded?
Okay, well, a little tinfoil hat comment to make. The stadium was incredibly loud, and I have watched the game back twice. One, I've watched it back from the official British broadcaster, Sky. The crowd sounds very quiet and very flat. I also watched it back on a South American stream, and the crowd were incredibly loud. They were as loud as it actually was in reality. So there's a little tinfoil hat moment for you. The crowd dipped after the first goal, yes. Admittedly, yes, but there wasn't despair, doom and gloom, or anything like that, because we've seen this team. This team has got balls, big balls. I wanted to comment as well about. I haven't finished the maths on it, but I have been jotting this down and doing some mental arithmetic and stuff. I think we've played 93% of this season with 14 players, and we have made the least substitutions in the league.
I would definitely agree with you with the least substitutions in the league, because there's 2, possibly 3 games where Pep didn't even make a sub. But that's interesting with regards to the 14 players.
Yeah, and that's outfield players. Let's
Mhm.
forget the goalkeeper. That's outfield players.
Yeah.
We've played, I think it was 93% of this season we've played with 14 players.
Okay. So
It's the lowest in the league. But I haven't finished the
Yeah.
maths on it, so don't nail me
Yeah,
for
yeah,
that
yeah. No, it's a
statement.
good-
I haven't
it's-
finished the maths, but I think
leads to a good
Liverpool was something
conversation.
like 17 players, and we were 14. We were the lowest,
Okay.
which is kind of insane, really. But that just goes to, I mean, I've said for a while that we have played with a very reduced squad this season. Look, winning the Premier League and being as competitive as we were in the Champions League is insane, considering the squad depth that we just haven't got this season. People say, "Oh, you've thrown hundreds of millions, blah blah blah." We haven't got the squad depth. Fernandinho's 37. We went into one game with 3 goalkeepers on the bench. There's all sorts of mitigating factors, in my opinion. But the crowd were still in there. The crowd hadn't give up. There's never any giving up. City fans don't give up, because I have to say, from the home perspective, I will say that finishing second in the Premier League to this Liverpool team genuinely would have been it would have been disappointing, considering we've been at the top of the league for the majority of the season, I guess. But when you put it into a wider perspective, if we would have finished second, Second in the Premier League is a massive, massive thing. It really is. It really is. Remove your scarf, remove your blinkered view of the club and your club's the best or whatever. Finishing second in the Premier League over 90 points is obscene. I mean, Ferguson and Wenger and Mourinho very rarely got the 90-point mark. We've done it in what? I think four seasons in the last 5-6 years or something like that. 90 or thereabouts. It's absolutely insane. So the mentality of the home fans, it would have been doom and gloom and disappointment for a moment, but then the realization would have hit how incredible we are, because we're incredible. We're incredible. But yeah, the tempo and momentum of the fans dropped a little bit. And I have to say as well, Morgan was right a minute ago. There was only like a 15-minute period in that game where we were truly playing as ourselves. There really was. And I think that it was reflected on the pitch and in the crowd. There was a lot of tension, a lot of nervousness. Obviously, the Liverpool quadruple has weighed heavily on everyone's minds. I mean, for Liverpool to have done a quadruple would have been monumental for football. It would have been horrendous to live with and all the rest of it. And that does weigh on you when you're in that ground and you're losing 1-0 to Villa. Especially, I mean, I think it was February when Liverpool fans started this whole, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful if Gerrard won the league for Liverpool and Coutinho scored the winner and all the rest of it. You know, those things started being said in the zeitgeist around the February mark. And those things have been in the back of our heads in recent weeks. So, yeah, very troublesome to try and deal with mentally and emotionally and stuff like that. But the songs didn't stop. The spirit didn't stop. But it was certainly dulled or lessened after that goal.
Okay. And I've done this on my previous show. It's Why Always Me. It's myself expressing what's on my mind, what's on my chest, and just putting it out into the world. It's not often interactive with comments, but I make sure to put it out. So if you've missed it, viewers, please tune in and check it out. But on that show, on that stream, I talk about my now away type of experience, and I'm fortunate enough to sometimes watch the game either on laptop or on TV. And it was such a big game that it was actually covered in, I would say, basic sport package cable, right? So it actually came on TV. It wasn't like a premium, which most EPL games and just football in general, you'd have to actually pay for an added subscription. So that was on TV, which was great. I'm watching it, and I'm going to tell you, and I've said this, I'm not superstitious. It's not like this, if this doesn't happen, bad things are happening. It's not that if I do this, success will happen. It's not that. But I do things in an effort to try and spark change, as irrational as it is. So bear with me. For the first goal, I was watching the game in the kitchen, and I was with my family, enjoying it. The first goal goes in. I yell out, "Damn it!" I try not to do that in front of the kids. And I have to move. Wifey already wanted me to move because I was reacting so loudly at some of the missed opportunities. So I leave rooms. And that's typically what I try to do if I don't think that the players are actually doing something different to get a result. Switch rooms. I go into the family room. I'm watching the game. And I try to settle down. We get to halftime. I'm calm. For me to calm myself, I then walk around, refill a drink. Maybe I didn't need a snack because I just had brunch. And I just try to chill. I'm not on my phone. I'm not consuming some of the chats that are going back and forth. I'll watch the little halftime coverage that they do in terms of their analysis, but that's it. It's kind of for me to unwind. What are the home fans doing? There's nothing on the pitch. Obviously, it's halftime. What are you guys doing? You mentioned that the energy was still high. They were still singing, but what are you guys doing at halftime?
Some people go for a halftime pint. You can get a beer token, so you pay for it before the game. You get a token, and then at halftime, you can just go straight up to the server, get a pint. Some people go to the toilet. Some people go to the toilet to smoke a cigarette or whatever. personally, I stay stood up. I stood up. I've been stood up my entire time for years and years. And I'm right next to the away fans. I am within 5 feet of the away fans. I'm right next to the away fans. So in between me, there's a police officer and a steward, and then the away fans. So I'm just chatting with the away fan actually across from me, saying about just general stuff like, do you really want to let Liverpool win the league? How do you feel about Steven Gerrard as a manager? And they're saying, I remember when I think one of the Villa fans, I remember when you were shit. And I said, yeah, so do I. We beat you. We beat you for like the last 20 years. So get back in your box. Just banter back and forth. Talk to the two guys in front of me, who are my mates. Talk to them. They're sort of giving it the little shake your hand symbol about whether we're bottling it or not.
Right.
You've not really got time to process very much, other than there's sort of like an unwritten code of we really need to elevate this tempo second half as fans, sing our hearts out, because we've got 45 minutes that'll dictate whether we're having a good summer or a bad summer. Or whether we're having a horrendous decade because Liverpool wouldn't shut up about a quadruple for at least 10 years, and the rest. There's a lot emotionally riding. And just like when I was trying to describe the atmosphere in the first half, so many contrasting emotions. I mean, like Chris just said there, a comment about the youth players. I am genuinely thinking stuff like that during the game. I'm thinking, Stones isn't very good this first half, or Fernandinho, why couldn't Egan Riley have slotted into there? Or you think you're constantly processing all these things. You think, Riyad Mahrez has been an empty shirt in this first half. Cole Palmer would have absolutely decimated this Aston Villa defence. You're just thinking about all of these things all at once, and it's incredibly hard to rationalize what you're thinking. You're just thinking everything at once, and it's very hard to convey.
No, I hear that. It's you kind of get retrospective. You're kind of like, oh, it's the little bit of a had we, or the what if. Now, does it go as far as to say this is what I want to see in the second half? Because I'll be honest with you, that defense was nerve-wracking, and it was kind of mentioned earlier with some of the comments. We did get lucky to only be down 1-0 at the half. So was there I want to see this in the second half, whether it was a substitution or change in approach? Do you remember anything like that coming to mind?
Strangely, I wanted Gundogan, Zinchenko, and Sterling to come on, and I got my wish. So,
but yes, okay, all right. No, that's excellent. Now, I'll say this: jumping in, second half kicks off. I love the fact that Zinchenko was brought on. Okay, the fact that Pep put Zinchenko, and again, Zinchenko's earned it. I think how he's performed for us, and not just this season, but how he's performed. And you mentioned earlier, what does he have to do to start, right? But the fact that he was brought on made absolute sense, and he's earned that trust, and arguably could have started the game. But Zinchenko coming on as a sub in past games has actually been a great spark, because I think the player that he is, and maybe it's also some of the assistant coaches, they're analyzing, and I think they're seeing opportunities. They're seeing how the opposing teams defending against us or attacking us. Like, they're seeing all that. So now when a player's subbed on and injected onto the field, they have that understanding of, here's how I'm going to counter you, or here's how I am now going to tackle, or here's how I'm now going to attack you because of what I've seen you do for a half. So I love that Zinchenko came on. Fantastic sub. But we still didn't score. Everything remained the same. Pep actually got to the point where he subbed on Gundogan, which you agreed with. He subbed on Sterling and took off Mahrez, which I agreed with, you agreed with. But soon after those subs, we can see the second goal. So soon after Pep using all three of his subs,
Yeah.
putting on the team that is now to get us a win, we can see the second. What is the reaction after the second goal? And talk for a bit because I'm going to have to run to the door.
That's when I had my 30 seconds of what the Liverpool fans said in February is coming true in front of my eyes, and it was desperately sad because Coutinho obviously scored the second goal, which, by the way, Rodri was at fault for again. Very, very poor challenge for a defensive header. But given that Zinchenko was on the pitch, Gundogan was on the pitch, and Sterling was on the pitch, I hadn't give up hope that we would turn it around. Really, really don't. I had no doubt we'd turn it around. I was surprised by Bernardo Silva going off, but in all honesty, looking back on it, Bernardo Silva was he was done. He was done for the season, exhausted, out of energy, out of everything. He was just completely in the bin. Bernardo Silva was probably the worst game he's had in the City shirt, but I'm going to attribute that to sheer exhaustion. He had nothing left in the tank. I was genuinely glad that Mahrez went off because he really had returned to the empty shirt Mahrez that we'd seen too often in previous seasons. And I was genuinely happy that Zinchenko had come on because Zinchenko was Zinchenko. He'll always get my vote. Zinchenko will always get my vote for first choice left back. But yeah, conceding the second goal, it still didn't change my outlook. Simply because there was enough game time left. There really was. At any moment, Kevin De Bruyne could have sprung to life, and he did. And that's what I was waiting on. I was waiting for Kevin De Bruyne to put his big boy pants on and carry us over the line again, and he really did. He really did. Something clicked between Zinchenko, Gundogan, De Bruyne, and Sterling that just completely. After that second goal, there was a lull. The crowd was on its backside. The Villa fans were celebrating as if they were Liverpool, but the right players were on the pitch to do the job, and ultimately they did.
So the second goal goes in, and I move from watching in the family room to then coming down to the basement. All right, a little bit of a man cave around here. So I've now gone to my third location because we've conceded 2 goals. And I am stressing. I am stressed out because I'm thinking, last week we were down 2 goals. Yeah, we came back, but we came back to draw it. We draw, we don't win. I'm expecting Liverpool to win their match. All that's running through my head. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen here? I'm looking at the subs, and I agree with the subs because Zinchenko makes absolute sense. Shore up that defense. Gundogan's come on. He's been so clutch for us many times. Even last year, the man was relied on so much. He can reach that form. I'm not doubting that sub. Thank you, baby girl. Sterling. Yes, absolutely. Sterling comes on the pitch, and what I loved. Sterling comes on the pitch, and what I loved was the fact that, like I mentioned earlier, it's like the players had the instructions, right? Sterling didn't go to do some quick 1-2s or look to dribble through the team. I loved how the first few opportunities, he actually squared up and kind of sized up how he was being defended, sized up what Aston Villa was doing. And it's not what he did to spark that first goal wasn't a fluke. Like, it wasn't kind of reactionary to here's how I'm being defended. It was, I know where I want to attack, whether it was instructions from the assistant coaches from Pep or whether it was what he noticed on the sidelines, because he squared up his opponent, drew him in a little bit, pushed it forward, got a little space to clear himself, and then crossed it. And that's not what Sterling's really known for, right? So when he did that, you see Gundogan get in the air, put that header in, and then scores that first goal. I am wiling out, and I can only see what's on the screen. I can only see what the producers are putting on screen with regards to the programming and what they want viewers to experience. So I'm seeing how everyone erupts after that one goal, right? I think it's Gundogan that grabs the ball, and he's now running back to half to kick things off. What I want to say now, again, and I love this show. Thanks for tuning in, viewers. Thanks for all of the comments. And I'm going to get to everyone. I promise you. I'm going to put that on screen. I may not say it out loud, but I'm going to put it on screen. The home and away perspective is what I absolutely cherish with this show. And I'm very, very grateful to be able to do this with Rob. He provides that perspective. He's there. Envious. I'm all the way over here in Toronto. Obviously, I can't fly over every time for a game. But to be able to talk with him and get his perspective and hear how home fans are able to experience it, I love it. And I hope you're enjoying the perspective that I'm giving from an international fan viewers. Yes, I'm in my home watching on screen, or some occasions in the pub watching it. But I have to tell you this. And I'm not superstitious, but this is what I ended up doing minutes before the first goal. It's a very old school Manchester City. You can see from the logo on it. But I put this on my head before the first goal. All right. If you're just listening, look to the screen right now. Look at your phones or your computer. I put this on my head just like this. And a couple minutes before the goal, I'm just wanting the best for my team. I'm just wanting a win. And I put this over my head, hoping that this changes things. This maybe does something different. It's a different vibe, different energy. Sterling creates the opportunity, and there's goal number 1. Okay? Yes, I know it doesn't make sense, but I keep the scarf on my head. Okay? I keep the scarf on my head. Minutes later, Zinchenko, again, fantastic sub from Pep, and Rob would agree. Brought onto the pitch, obviously had a plan of approach, true left footer. Him and Foden had a great combination going. They were actually forcing the defense to defend them differently, because now everything is kind of like on the wide side of the pitch, and they're actually forcing the depth, forcing some depth. But Zinchenko gets into the 18, shows his midfielder skill set and mentality, and actually creates an opportunity. And again, defensively, Rodri's had his faults. But Rodri, in that moment, last game of the year, the importance of the match, us being down 2-1, he actually calls for that ball from Zinchenko. And me keeping the scarf on my head, I don't know if it had an effect or not. Rodri places that ball, almost hits the post, so close, well pointed where the keeper would have to make an exceptional dive and strong hand save, and we now tie the game.
He shinned it into the bottom corner.
You're going too far. You're going too far. The man did not put the laces in. Inside foot, he placed it. Rodri
shinned it just like Rooney against Richards.
No. I'm not gonna let you do that. Look, my camera's getting all foggy. No, I'm not gonna let you do that. Let me get to this. Let me get to the comments, because the game is now tied 2-2.
Can I just comment about Raheem Sterling and how grateful I was that he was on the right-hand side?
100%.
I'm a huge fan of Raheem Sterling. I actually think he does make valid contributions playing on the left when he cuts inside. Southampton a couple of years ago, massive example of it. But Sterling on the right-hand side is just so clinical. It's ridiculous. Not as a finisher, forget the finishing. I'm sick and tired of people saying, well, Sterling can't finish. He's still quite a potent goal scorer. But Sterling, when he runs at defences on the right-hand side, is incredible. Getting to the line, putting that ball in. I hope we get to keep Sterling for next season, because you put Haaland in that anywhere in that 18-yard box with balls coming in from the right-hand side from Sterling, we're scoring 5 goals a game. It's ridiculous. So... yeah, and as you just put out on the screen there about Chris, there's no way on earth that Fernie would have missed that header. I'm sorry, Vater. Criminal number 2 again, Rodri, for the second goal. Shocking defending. Shocking.
Like I said, I will go back. I will watch with that fine eye. I will go back and I will watch it. I will watch it as if I'm a jeweler and I'm looking for imperfections within a diamond. I will be that precise with how I look back on it. 1 second. Sorry about that. My little girl just got home. So I'm going to look back and see how Rodri played defensively. And again, as we can point out and maybe point out on how he missed his defensive responsibilities, I am equally going to celebrate him now with his offensive opportunity.
Yeah, it's never been in doubt. He's a decent number 8, but he's a terrible number 6. And your manager, the man that you love so much, said this season, Rodri needs to learn how to play CDM. He said that. It's irrefutable. He's an awful CDM. Awful CDM. Awful. Every single goal that we have conceded this season that has come through the central areas, Rodri is the culprit. Tottenham, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Villa, Southampton, Palace, all through Rodri in a defensive capacity. Let's not talk about his offensive capabilities because we've got 5 of the best attacking footballers in the world. We need a CDM. He's not it. I apologise for hijacking your show to talk about his inability to play the position that he's in the team to play. And everyone loves him because he lives in a student hall of residence and he drives a Nissan Micra and he only takes 20 quid a week in wages and he's a lovable guy, blah, blah, blah. He can't play DM. Simple.
I think he has his limitations right now in terms of being the CDM that's needed. But we obviously can't dismiss that there is an offensive opponent to it, defensive component to him that's needed. You'd be surprised, and this is external. Many rivals will actually tout Rodri as one of the better CDMs in the league. So I understand the criticism, and I hear you, and I'm going to go back and look at those examples because the beauty about this video is everything that you mentioned, I can pause and actually go back and look up if I don't quite remember it right now.
And you know me, Vader. I don't put my neck on the line for waffle. I don't.
I know you don't. I know you don't. And I also appreciate that you're open to when evidence is maybe presented, and you'll take it for the value that it does present to you. Now the comments, I'm loving the comments, and one thing I want to say now is, and a few comments already mentioned it, the way the players responded from scoring the first goal, scoring the second goal, and scoring the third goal, which all happened within 5 to 6 minutes. I need to ask you this as I go through the comments. It seemed like every goal magnified the volume of the fans and the encouragement of the fans. Am I correct in saying that? What was your experience as the home fan?
Absolutely, with 2 caveats to that. 2 caveats. Caveat number 1, Tottenham Hotspur Champions League. When we scored that second goal against Aston Villa, 3 people around me said Tottenham Champions League. Actually vocalised it. Now, if you remember the Tottenham Champions League game, Raheem Sterling scored a completely legitimate goal, got ruled out as offside. And there was a 5-minute period of ecstasy and agony. The second game that was brought to mind, and I remember this from 1996 at Main Road, I was in the corner of the Platt Lane stand. Manchester City had convinced themselves that we only needed a draw against Liverpool to stay up and not get relegated. It turned out we needed to beat Liverpool. And instead of going to beat Liverpool, and by the way, Liverpool were already on holiday at this point. They were trying to let us win, but we messed around with the ball in the corner just in front of me where I was in the Platt Lane, and didn't do anything to try and score. We ended up drawing the game 2-2 and we got relegated. Okay. And that is what, do you remember after we'd scored that third goal, absolutely incredible 5-minute period, Gundogan, Rodri, shinned it, and then Gundogan again. We started playing with the ball in the corner.
Yes.
And I had never been so panicked in my adult life because I just had memories flooding back from 1996 at Main Road. Now, we were completely in control of the game, and perhaps if I had a more logical, reasoned head on me at the time, I didn't have to worry as much as I did, but I could not get Liverpool 96 out of my head. 2 reasons for that. Obviously, because we were in the league title race against Liverpool this season, and secondly, because my other previous experience of City messing with the ball in the corner ultimately led us to be relegated, which then led to a 5-year period of relative humiliation. So, and that is a big fact from Big Morgan. Big fact.
So that gave you flashbacks of earlier times. I get it. But what I saw, here's the funny thing is, what I saw in terms of them taking that approach was some of the control, I guess, scumminess that you can sometimes express within football that was needed against Real Madrid.
It was completely necessary and it was complete shithousery. You are not wrong. But again, I've got that memory of 1996, which dictated my mental mood at the time.
I hear that.
What we did on Sunday was completely necessary. It was the right thing to do, but I still couldn't help but think about 1996.
I got you. So you agree, fans got loud, cheers got loud, backing the team. It was clear. Manchester City, Pep, players on the pitch weren't seeking a fourth goal. We've got the lead. We're controlling this match until the whistle blows. Everyone was on the same page for that, right? You were having the flashbacks and getting and obviously worried. Do you think you were kind of like low in numbers in terms of having that energy, or were you kind of feeling that amongst some of your other homegoing fans?
No, we were all in one big chorus of City, the best team in London, all the world. It was incredible.
All right. So I'm now the away fan, as you guys know. I put the scarf on prior to the first goal. We score. I keep the scarf on. Second goal happens. Scarf is still on. I keep it on. Third goal happens. I don't know. You guys were cheering, rightfully so, had an impact on the players, but you're not taking anything away from me. This scarf put on my head got those players off the line as well. We're a collective fan base all across the world, globally, that made that happen. I am appreciative of the fans that are able to sing and cheer and root the players on, as well as the fans that have to show their support, whether it's how they watch the game, whatever rituals they have, if they have to break up or throw down some chicken bones or whatever they may do for to encourage the fans. Encourage the team. Do what you got to do. The game ends. I am watching in awe with regards to the reaction. And if you guys saw the thumbnail, it had a caption of the Jumbotron that's in stadium that was advising, or I should say, reminding fans that they are not allowed to go onto the pitch. I obviously can't go to the pitch. I'm all the way over here in Toronto. You're the home fan, Rob. That is put on screen. Did you see that sign on the screen? First of all,
it's on my right hand side as I'm in my seat. It's on my right hand side, about 150 yards away or whatever, on the other side.
okay.
Yeah, I'm well aware of it. But I ran on the pitch against Wigan in 1999. In the League Two, in the League One playoff semi-final when we beat Wigan. I ran on the pitch at Blackburn in 2000. I ran on the pitch in 2012. I ran on the pitch in 2017 or 18 or 19? I can't remember. I didn't run on the pitch this time. No.
You didn't. The reason I didn't
run on the pitch.
Is it because of maturity, or you're obeying the rules? Like, what was the reason?
No, I'm a pisshead, mate. No, no, it was mainly because of what had happened earlier in the week. So I think, was it Billy Sharp at Sheffield United had been assaulted, and then Patrick Vieira was in a scuffle at Goodison Park, and then obviously it happened regardless, didn't it? The Aston Villa fan was the Aston Villa goalkeeper was assaulted by somebody. So I was conscious of that, and also this is the first time that City have really tried to push forward the message about not going on the pitch. They've said it before. they've said, you know, at the end of you're reminded at the end not to go on the pitch. But this time, it was like, don't go on the pitch, don't go on the pitch, don't go on the pitch, don't go on the pitch. And also, yeah, I guess, I mean, I'm 40 years of age as well. I mean, when I ran on the pitch in 2012, I was that drunk that I did trip over the advertising boards and get my foot caught in the net. And fell over. I basically ate turf. I ate turf when that happened.
Wow.
So I guess, you know, 2022. Does a 40-year-old man need to run on the pitch? Probably not. Doesn't mean I don't celebrate it as much as everyone else. Of course you do, you know. But I was too happy hugging my mates near me, you know.
I'm not mad at that, and to have the experience to have done it before, and then in this instance you're choosing not to. I get it, and again, there was examples earlier in the week of where it didn't quite go the best way with regards to some fans and so whether it's coaches or player interaction. So I totally get it. Not going onto the pitch, but watching it. What was the feeling, or what was the vibes like? Because I would assume that there were probably some people in close proximity that did make a dash to get onto the pitch, right?
Yeah, it was all relatively in good spirits, to be honest. The people going on for the most part, you know, not everyone runs onto the pitch with intent of causing conflict or drama or whatever. But you've got to remember that I wish I knew the crime statistic, but there's so many crimes that are committed, and I'm not talking about major serious crimes. I'm talking about crimes of opportunity are committed in a click of the fingers.
Yeah.
So there was an example. There was a little girl on top of the goalpost. Somebody else collapsed the goalpost. Obviously, the City fan, which, by the way, I need to speak up, but that's disgusting. Lifetime ban, please. Never let that guy near a football stadium again, attacking a player like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the same goes for anyone. Now, I have got one anecdote a couple of years ago when a Manchester City fan was given a lifetime ban for throwing coins and blinding an Everton fan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was rightfully given a lifetime ban, and obviously his excuse was, you know, I threw coins, but I didn't mean to blind anyone, blah, blah, blah. But I will tell you, a month after he was sentenced, so not a month after he did it, but a month after he was sentenced, Feyenoord played City in the Champions League. Now, earlier in that week, me and two friends were in Ben Brazil, which is a Brazilian restaurant in Manchester, and there was 5 Feyenoord fans there, and they started a knife fight with us. That's a story for another time. But the Feyenoord fans that night were throwing euros and coins at us all night, and several of them hit me and all the rest of it, and several of them hit people around me. But for 90 minutes, they were throwing coins all night.
That's
now,
crazy.
Throwing coins at a football match is relatively soft. When I was a kid and you used to go in the North Stand at Main Road, fans would throw bricks, seats, darts, everything. Everything used to get thrown at you, and people would throw the stuff back. So anyway, I said to the copper that's next to me, because remember, I'm 5 feet from the away fans. I said to the copper next to me, I said, a month ago, a City fan got a lifetime ban and sent to prison for blinding an Everton fan with coins. You're stood here all night long. You know we're getting hit with coins, and you've done nothing about it. And he just turned to me and said, shut up and watch the match. So that's a little anecdote about that sort of thing. But yeah, Main Road, Wild West. Football in the 80s and 90s, Wild West. People used to get stabbed with standing knives, darts thrown at them, everything. So City fans going on the pitch, 99% of them completely innocent, just, you know, in a situation where they're overwrought with joy and they want to celebrate, maybe hug or kiss a player, get a memento like a shirt or whatever, and then you've got the odd knobhead. The odd knobhead exists in every area of life. They just do. It's life. But yeah, completely unacceptable that City fan, especially given the two examples earlier in the week with Billy Sharp and Patrick Vieira, that was even allowed to happen. But relatively, when you've got 20,000 people running onto a pitch and you've got maybe 400 security staff, you're not stopping everybody.
No.
And that was that. Thankfully, that was the only situation, and I don't want to downplay it, but that was the only situation. It could have been much worse, but it wasn't, and we have to be sort of thankful for that, because things do happen. Yeah.
I was, and the thing with that is, and we see it in many different sports as well, where the fans get excited. They want a memorable moment in terms of getting as close to the pitch or as close to the players as they possibly can. But yeah, sometimes it does. Unfortunately, it takes just the one that sparks things the wrong way, and because it is a little bit of a mob mentality, everyone loses judgment in a sense and does things the wrong way. But I am glad that in terms of like bad outcomes, they were pretty minimum from what I've heard as well. And the way it was done, you could see that the stewards or the security or whatever, they had a very good approach with regards to surrounding the players and the staff and getting them off the pitch, and escorting them, I guess, to the tunnel, and then kind of like barricading themselves so the fans were essentially amongst themselves. So it was a sight to see, and my reaction now was, we did it, and every player was so important to the team winning. The fact that Pep had to go in had to use his 3 subs, and all 3 subs were so key in terms of the comeback and to score the goals. But I'm not going to overlook even the effort that was put in, the kilometers that were ran by Bernardo Silva. The effort that was put in. As much as we know, Fernandinho doesn't have the legs, doesn't quite have the ability to get aerial as he could. But everyone put in a shift, and they did it for the badge, which was amazing. And again, I know I'm going to fast forward a little bit, but to then see how they celebrated post-match, some of the interviews, some of the commentary, I felt it from every player because
you've hit something on the head there, Vito.
Yeah.
Now, I've been critical of Rodri, as you know, and part of it's tongue-in-cheek, but part of it is the reality that he's not a TDM. I've been critical of Jack Grealish, expecting more, not based on his price, but based on his ability in football. And Jack Grealish has been the first to admit, not good enough this season, really need to knuckle down and try again. Riyad Mahrez was awful on Sunday, but ultimately, every single one that's played for City this season has contributed at some point in the season to the title. And that's why the marathon's better than the sprint. Because 38 games, we've seen the best and the worst for pretty much all the players, right? So there isn't any boo boy. There isn't anyone you could single out and say, you made our season worse. Because it's not reality. The reality is that every single one of them has contributed in a massively positive way for the majority of the season. And to be as bad as me and nitpick certain games or nitpick certain actions or whatever, I really shouldn't. I should celebrate more the achievement. And I'll admit that.
Yeah, you know what? But it's such a great balance because you actually have to be critical. And the funny thing is, and I love the dynamic. Viewers, if you're tuning in to my channel for the first time, please hit that follow button, subscribe, support the channel. I appreciate every comment. But also make sure you find the Mancunian Way. Martin and Rob put on an excellent show. Interaction galore, perspective just even better because it's a duo of 2 speaking football. So definitely tune in and check them out. But what's so important, and again, I know sometimes the challenging part with what you tell me is more so for conversation, because often what you say I agree with. But we also can't ignore the fact that the players themselves are just as critical with what they do or don't do in matches. So the fact that you bring it up, again, I'm not upset about it. Viewers that are tuning in or interacting, hopefully they're not as well, because you need that perspective in terms of for any player, any team to improve. But and I will say this: we all are looking for the perfect player by position, or as close as that player can get, because Walker will have his limitations, as great as he is. The same can be said of Stones. The same can be said of Laporte, even Diaz. We all know that there's aspects of Ederson that we would like to improve. But the beauty about sport, and again, I could talk about every player, But the beauty about sport is it's about minimizing some of the players' weaknesses, elevating their strengths, and doing it as a team. So I love the dynamic. I have no fault with any criticism that you or myself or others may make, because it's just how sport is. And again, that's why I love this home and away dynamic so much. Let me hit up these comments real quick. I watched a game in a pub. I almost broke it into the ground after the game. Oh, that would have been amazing. Now we have to win the UCL now, Rob. We have to go global now. Okay, that's an interesting perspective, and one that we will definitely have the conversation.
I've got an anecdote about
Yeah.
that. Okay. Raheem Sterling missed a goal against Lyon, didn't he? What, 3-4 years ago?
He did.
But he also scored
Did he
goals.
sky it? I think
he just missed the. I
He
can't
just missed
remember
it?
what he did. But he's also scored goals that have won us championships. And it's, what do you want to focus on? Do you want to focus on the fact that we can all miss chances? We all miss chances in our daily life. We all make mistakes in our daily life. But ultimately, we still go to bed with a meal in our belly, and we wake up in the morning and start again? Or do you want to focus on the minutiae? Yes, focus on the minutiae when you want to make amendments or corrections and all the rest of it. But Raheem Sterling's contribution to Manchester City has been incredible on the whole. Yes, he's made mistakes, but let's move on from it. And it's the same when it comes to the Champions League. You know, will Riyad Mahrez take that shot at the near post ever again if he stays at City? That is, will he take that shot at the near post instead of scoring it to Foden again? No. And that's the difference between us not being in Paris for the final, really. So we've learned every single year, incrementally, we have got better in the Champions League. Yes, Grant, you can say, well, we're not in the final this season, but we were last season. Okay, fine. But we're there or thereabouts at the business end of the competition that we want to be at the business end of. So make a few changes and a few tweaks. We're there. You know, the addition of Haaland and Alvarez, they are going to have a massive contribution. We've won the league for the last 2 seasons without a striker. That is something that should nearly be impossible. In fact, it almost was impossible because we very nearly didn't win the league this season. But we're going from strength to strength in the areas that we need to strengthen, and we're making additions to the squad as a whole. And we've got such exciting players coming through, such as Palmer, McAtee, Egan Riley. You know, listen, people love the Mona Lisa, right? Is it the best thing you've ever seen with your eyes? No. But almost, it's celebrated as much for its imperfections as it is celebrated for its perfections. And that's life.
Yeah. On another show, viewers, we are going to talk about Champions League, EPL, which one's tougher, which one's more important. That will be discussed on another show. But I'm gonna leave you guys with this. Everyone that has won a Champions League and not won a Champions League is telling me, is telling Manchester City fans, is telling fans of other clubs that haven't won it, how great it is. How great it is to win a Champions League. And I will tell you, I want to believe them. I want to believe them with how they present it and how they talk about it. Because whether it's fans that have won it in their lifetime, fans that have not won it but see what it is as an achievement, how they've expressed, when you win a Champions League, you'll get it. You'll know. I want to believe that. And on a future show, we'll discuss it. I want to believe that. But I can't help but say that there's an underlying itch or doubt that doesn't believe them. There's an underlying, I don't know really how to properly express it, but there's something that's telling me I don't know if that's true.
Vader,
Yeah.
but Vader, the best domestic league in world football is the Premier League. We are the champions of the Premier League 4 times in the last 5 years. We played Liverpool domestically in the league. Yes, we played them in the Cowabunga Cup, but we played them domestically in the league twice. Jurgen Klopp was trying to quit football management because he got battered. If we had a striker on the pitch, they ain't winning either of those games. If James Milner would have got sent off like he should have done, they're not winning either. You know, we're the best team in world football because we are the best team in the best league in the world. We've not won a knockout competition because it's a knockout competition. I don't know how else to say that. Okay, so people around the world might see City as a more relevant team or whatever if they win a Champions League. But everyone and their grandmother says English football is the best league in the world. And if you're the best team in the best league, then how does that not translate to being more important globally? Everyone watches this league. Everyone roots for this league. Everyone roots for a team in this league. It's the best league in the world with the biggest stars in the world. But somehow there's a disconnect in people's brains that City can't therefore be the best team in the world without winning the Champions League. I don't buy into it. I never have.
Yeah.
Sorry, and that's derailing because we're talking about Sunday and we're talking about because you've got
No. It's all good. It's all good. I kind of brought it there, anyways, in some of the comments. But no, absolutely right. And I'm gonna say this point: the CL is massive for players and managers. I get it. It's also massive in terms of like association with regards to clubs. I get it. And for global fan base, I agree with you 100%. But the league is for the local fans, and I agree. The league is where it's really where the passion is because of the close proximity with regards to the other teams that you face and the week in, week out matches. That's where it's at. Even with regards to scheduling with this Champions League, it's interrupted. It doesn't quite have the same flow. But on another show, we will talk about that at in depth, at length. I did my best to kind of follow some of these topics. All right, EPL Final Sunday, first half, second half. There was no panic, even though I didn't highlight it as a topic. There was no panic coming from Rob, and even from what I was hearing from the fans. And the trust was there in terms of encouraging the players, seeing what the players had done in previous matches, even the week before, the comeback against West Ham, or to tie it, I guess, to West Ham. We talked about how Rob did react after the win. He was composed, the more mature, seasoned Manchester City fan, didn't rush to get onto the pitch. He did subtly brag about doing that in previous times, and I let him slide with that, but I love it. And then I have to point this out, and please don't take this as shade, don't take this as salt, and don't take this as being too boastful. But true football fans won on Sunday. And you might say, what do you mean true football fans won on Sunday? There was an experience that happened for not only one game, but several games over the weekend, right? We all know, we follow our team, but there's other teams and everyone's playing on Sunday. Some fan bases are watching their team to see whether they can secure top 4, remain top 4. Some fans are watching to see whether they can survive and remain in the league and not get relegated. And some fans are watching to see what cups they could compete in, right? Europa Conference League or Europa. All those things are happening at once. And it made for a fantastic Sunday. And because the title was decided on the final day, and in the manner that it did, all football fans, and this is where I hope Manchester City fans cherish Sunday. And forgive me if I sound a little too fairy tale-ish or young kid head in the clouds type perspective, but the Aguero moment, obviously a decade ago, was fantastic. And again, I experienced that as an international fan. Those of you that were there, fantastic memory, energy up, energy down, in it, out of it, wondering whether the team would pull it off. All those played out. I'm not saying that it's a replica. Nothing could be. But how it played out this Sunday for Manchester City fans, unforgettable. And then how it was witnessed and observed, how it was watched, and so many fans actually had a stake in the game, right? There were so many fans that did not, absolutely without a doubt, did not want Liverpool to be winners of the EPL this year because it would mean that they were still in pursuit of a quad. So many fans were watching and were invested in Manchester City coming out with a win because of that reason in itself. New City fans, if they weren't a part of the Aguero moment, they were a part of this. And I said it before, it's not replicating it, but it was a moment. And I hope it's not easily forgotten. I know it's not easily dismissed. I hope it's not an expectation that wins to win a season is going to happen on the regular. And I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I felt like everybody was invested in watching that Manchester City game. Whether you had 2 screens or 3 screens or watching it on a ticker or watching on your phone, I felt like everybody was watching that game. If I'm being arrogant in that, correct me in the comments. But I felt like everybody witnessed that Manchester City moment, and I love it. I love it. Let me also go to these comments, and apologies for rambling here. I'm not sure if I put this on screen again, but Michael, thank you so much. Always looking to share.
By the way, the thing that I was bragging most about was Manchester City qualifying for the League One playoff final against Gillingham. When Sean Golter scored with his backside against Wigan.
So you're chanting that at your loudest?
No, that's when that's the first time I ran on the pitch as a City
okay.
fan in 1999. I think I'm trying to remember. I think that's about the first time in my conscious memory City fans did run on the pitch. Now, obviously, there's a lot of famous footage of City fans running on the pitch in 1968 up at Newcastle, up in Newcastle when City won the league there. But those images are black and white. But you can just see there was no segregation back then. I don't believe there might have been, and somebody who's older than me will correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it was just City fans and Newcastle fans intermixed. And yeah, there was a lot of City fans that ran on the pitch in celebration in '68. That's my first conscious memory of it. Obviously not alive, but watching VHS tapes as a kid that my granddad used to show me of like Belley and Summerby and players like that, and City's former glories. But yeah, the first time I ever ran on the pitch was 1999 in the second leg of a playoff to get to a playoff final. You know, you couldn't imagine a lower point for Manchester City, if I'm honest. But yeah, yeah. So, but running on the pitch, yeah, it's.
Sorry, when you say lowest point, you mean like fighting?
We were in League One.
Yeah.
So third division down. We finished third in the league, and you have to go. So teams between third and sixth. There's third plays sixth, I think, and second and fourth plays fifth. You have a playoff, 2 playoffs. Sorry, one at Wigan, one at Main Road, and then the winner of that plays the winner of the other side of it at Wembley in a playoff final. That's the lowest point of our club's history.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I love these comments, and viewers, thanks for tuning in. Fantastic Sunday, and I've already kept Rob a lot longer than I had planned. But we can talk football in Manchester City all day. I want to thank every comment that was shared. I want to remind you, and I kind of saw it within the comments. Please check out the Mancunian Way. Fantastic content. Despite the season being over, there's still lots to talk about. There's a transfer window. There's a crazy transfer window that's about to kick off. There's obviously players that have agreed to come. We got Alvarez and we got Holland, which will be discussed heavily. And the unfortunate part is we're going to have to talk about some players that may be leaving. But definitely tune in. That's how I found Rob. And again, that's what's led to these great conversations.
a great place. A great place to find Vader is on Twitter, and a great place to find the Mancunian Way is also on Twitter. Vader and Martin and a few other guys do excellent Twitter spaces. So I'll give you the Mancunian Ways Twitter handle, which is at Horsey City, and lots of people are already following it. It's the official Twitter of the Mancunian Way channel, and Vader, you should give yours as well. They do Twitter spaces. They sometimes happen at like 10 o'clock at night or even later or sometimes earlier, but it's a great place for cross-pollination of ideas for Manchester City fans, whether they're home or away or whatever, or even if they're not City fans. It's a great place to just have a conversation about football. There is waffle, there is nonsense, but that's part of the love of the game, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is it's free. It's free. Just go and talk to other people about football. It's great. And we all educate each other. So, Vader, you need to promote your Twitter handle as well, mate. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, no, it's Vader Games. So at Vader Games, tune in, and I think even if you just you just do a search, I think even if you start typing Vader, it should pop up. But yeah, I don't tweet often compared to how I see some others tweet. But when I tweet, it's something on my mind or something that I find interesting enough to kind of retweet and revisit. So yeah, please follow me there. And from a channel standpoint, I love doing these live shows. It's off the cuff. We talk what's on our mind. We share different points of view. When I'm able to, I do like to chop it up and post a shorter video for those of you that may not have been able to sit and watch the entire thing. So if you're following, you'll get the notification and you'll see a video that I've obviously thought of interest to want to share back. So please check those out. And the show will continue despite the season being over. There's still lots to talk about. I'm going to put these remaining comments on screen, and then I am going to close out the show. And I'm going to, before I do that, actually, I'm going to ask Rob, what was the most difficult? What was the actually? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to end it that way.
Go on. Don't worry. Go for it. Go for it, man.
What was the most difficult point of the season for you to think that we were going to continue to contend for the season? Like, what was the moment in the season where you probably had your biggest doubt for winning the season?
Two. It's either the Liverpool game at Anfield because we were so much better and didn't win, or the Southampton away game. Really frustrated me. The lack of not the Southampton away game, the Palace away game, because there was no substitutions. It irked me so much. It really got under my skin that there was no substitutions, because it was clear to everybody, even the most passive observer, it was clear that we needed to make substitutions, and he didn't. So
fair. Mine was the Liverpool match, and it was the away match as well. But it was because I hated the fact that Salah danced and scored that goal against three of our players. I hated the fact that he kind of undressed Silva, who went in for a slide tackle, and Salah bypassed him. I hated how he then had Laporte and then Diaz. That was the most annoying because I knew it was going to be a battle between Liverpool and Manchester City. And that's where the biggest doubt kind of crept in. Throughout the season now, injuries happen, but from a moment standpoint, those aren't moments. That's just what happens throughout the season. I'm going to ask you now, when did you look at the team and have the perspective to be like, yeah, Manchester City, and I not from an expectation standpoint, don't get at me, but when did you look at the team, whether it's performance wise or whether it was a result, and you're like, yeah, Manchester City can go and battle for this title?
Oh, what a question. When Kevin De Bruyne did that against Wolves.
Okay, so when he was like, follow me, we're going to do this.
There's been so much conjecture and criticism and waffle and just all sorts of opinions flying about. Patrice Evra said it most famously, there's no leaders, there's no bollocks, there's no cojones, there's no whatever. Fans were starting to believe it and say it, regurgitating waffle. And it's like, no, that's not what I know of this team. What I know of this team is fight till the end. And all of the literal silly hashtags of live, love, laugh, togetherness and blah, 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 all that crap. In reality, we are one of the most together squads and teams there's been in football history. We are. We've won 4 out of the last 5 Premier League titles. We've won 4 Cowabunga Cups. We've won an FA Cup. We've won 2 Community Shields under Pep Guardiola in 6 years. Jurgen Klopp's nearly been at Anfield in 8 years. He's drawn his way 0-0 to an FA Cup and a Cowabunga Cup. I think he's won a Cowabunga Cup or an FA Cup in previous years. He's won 1 league title in nearly 8 years, which is a failure. And he's won 1 European Cup by chancing his way to a final against a piss poor Tottenham. And he's also been humiliated and humbled by a aging Real Madrid team, 3 years ago as well. So who am I taking? I'm taking Pep Guardiola. When I'm going over the top and charging the German trenches with my Claymore sword, I'm taking Pep Guardiola and Bernardo Silva with me, not Jordan Henderson and James Milner.
I hear that.
Sorry, we've got bollocks, mate. We've got big cojones. John Stones has got bigger balls than anyone. So the team, it's incredible.
John Stones got the stones.
John Stones got the stones. Yeah, listen. Don't at your own peril if you want to undervalue this team. And yeah, Kevin De Bruyne. First half of this season, he was a little bit overweight. He was a little bit fat. There was something going on with him. He shook the weight off. He grew a pair of cojones again. And he absolutely brute forced us through some games, Kevin De Bruyne. And that game against Wolves was just incredible. We won't appreciate just how good his performance was in that game for 5 years. We won't. Same with Bernardo Silva at Old Trafford. We won't appreciate that for 5 years. Phil Foden, some of his contributions, he's not had his great season. I think he'd be the first to say that. But some of his contributions, incredible. Raheem Sterling, some of his contributions, incredible. John Stones, Laporte, some of the contributions from Laporte, incredible.
Yeah.
This team is full of character, full of personality, full of winners. And it's the thinnest it's been in years, squad wise. And no strike. There's just so many, asterisks. People put asterisks at the end of everything, don't they? We didn't win this because we won this in spite of, there are asterisks, in spite of, not instead of, so listen, incredible, absolutely incredible.
I agree. The end of season collage would be done right with your input and some of the things that you brought up, because there's been so many moments where the players played for the badge, played for the moment. Absolute warrior performances, and even most recently, potential concussion protocol, possibly with Laporte, and still playing and battling through previous games. The warrior battle with regards to Atletico Madrid. Like, there's so much with regards to the season. And one thing that I do love about this age that actually helps with my memory as a fan that has to watch things and is obviously not at the games. But it's when those, and our phones kind of do this now, right? Like, we take some photos and then a year later you kind of get the reminder like, hey, remember this, what you did a year ago. If you happen to follow Manchester City on Twitter, they have the 2018 on this day, right? I am so looking forward to the 2022 on this day moments with some of the warrior performance that we saw. But
that
viewers,
away game against Atletico Madrid, yeah, absolutely. By the way, I've got the at Man City. It's blocked. I don't follow them. They can go to hell.
Oh my! You always hit me with something that I should be diving into when the show needs to be concluding. But like all great performers, you have to leave the fans wanting more. So to hear that
Fact.
story, you're gonna have to tune in to Rob's next show, and hear where hear where that's coming from. And I want to thank each and every one of you. I should be doing this like Costanza, leave on a high, and I'm gonna put on the shoe game, which has been fan requested. Fans are trying to catch me wearing. Fans have asked to see my shoes. I've got a good shoe game, and they're trying to catch me wearing the same pair for the second time on a show. I'm going to do my best not to do that. And again, if I hit that milestone, viewers, I'm trying to hit the century mark with regards to subs on YouTube. And if I'm fortunate enough down the road, however it happens, when I do hit the 1K mark with regards to subscribers, when that does happen, in terms of a milestone, my shoe source, my plug, has expressed to me that I will be able to give back to those viewers hitting that milestone and getting that type of reach. So I look forward to that day, one friend at a time. Hit that sub button, hit that follow button, and we'll get to there. As I put the shoe game on screen, and let me do that. I should be right here. This is going to throw you guys off for those of you that have tuned in the past, because obviously the kicks that I've had often have been Jordans, and I think the light is actually not going to do it service. I might have to turn the lights off here. Let me see. Yeah, that's better. So it's summertime, low kicks, comfortable, very flexible, breathable, great for the season. So if you're able to figure out what those are, please let me know in the comments. And like I said, down the road, I will do my part to give back to all of you that have been able to give to me. So thank you so very much. I'm going to put these last few comments on screen before we sign off. If there's anything, Rob, that's still on your chest that you want to share, please feel free. I agree with that comment. They drive me crazy. They absolutely drive me crazy. Oh, what we got
Oh
here?
dear, we got some right comments going on here.
Oh, viewers, I want to thank you so very much. Absolutely amazing. Rob's incredible. Tune into the Mancunian Way. If you're just catching the show now, it should be able to be played back shortly. And like I said, I'm going to be chopping it up in segments for you to better consume if you didn't catch the entire show. And I want to thank Rob. I want to thank Manchester City. I want to thank every one of you for a fantastic season as we continue to build on this friendship. And despite the EPL season being over, we do have an off season, so the conversation won't stop.
Well,
Thank you.
the conversation will get stopped if anyone tries coming at me with their ITK knowledge about footballers that are most definitely signing for City, but then end up signing for some team in South America. I ain't listening to it. When I see him in a City shirt, then I'll listen. But before then, I just don't give a stuff. I've got a 10-week break from thinking about football now. Sorry.
Got it.
I'll still talk on this show and
Yeah.
stuff, and I'll still do stuff on the other channel, but mentally, I've got to disengage for a little while, you know? And so
I get
should
you. I get you. Yeah, no, 100%. And imagine us as fans feeling this way. And what are the players doing? They're now going to international duty to have how long of a break after that before preparing and getting fit for the season to come. So I hear you. I hear you. I'm not going to be as in depth as it has been. There's going to be actually a lot of conceptualizing and ideas to maybe carve out how to tackle next season, maybe from a content scheduling standpoint or even creative ideas and what to share with you guys. But
if I hear one more time that City are definitely signing Isco this summer, then I'm just...
you know what? I do hate that. I hate the transfer rumors. The transfer rumors do drive me crazy and will lead to me muting several people until the season's over because I won't have time for that. And I will be working on my fact because I'm trying to have it with the same
way you're saying it, you're
voice.
saying swear word. You're saying F-U-C-K.
No, no, I'm not.
It's fact, not fucked. You know. Sorry.
Viewers, we are out. Love it. Tune in next time. If you're following, you'll get the notification. You know we're alive. And again, I can't stress it enough. Check out the Mancunian Way. Fantastic content. And it's been another episode. I'm Vader Games. That was Rob. He's home. I'm away. Manchester City fans. And we're out.
Peace. Beautiful.